Hello, everyone, to this special episode of Volts and Amps. We are here with a special guest today, Winston Lee, Interim Director of ETI US and also Manager Director of ETI Europe.
Yeah.
Pleasure to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. We're going to start here with a short background story of you and let us know a little bit about yourself and what has made you take this role at ETI.
Okay. Well, I've spent most of my career with the technical side of automotive, so working in diagnostics with test equipment, product development, within the OEM and aftermarket as well, so supporting both sides of the fence, if you like. Over time, what's become clear is that the technical challenges aren't just engineering problems, they're an ecosystem problem. So access to data, standards, right, security, validation, trust, those things matter just as much as the software and the hardware. So initially I was a member of ETI with a company that was manufacturing diagnostics tools. So I could see that there was the value in joining because those things were brought together by ETI. So really the role at ETI appealed to me because it fits exactly in that space. I had experience of it. It's not about selling tools, obviously. It's about making sure that the industry has a fair, workable framework so that good tools and equipment can actually exist. So that felt really for me a way of being able to give back and stay very close to the technology.
Okay, so also to go a little bit further back, tell us a little bit about your background, where you're from, and how did your passion regarding automotive industry started?
I got involved when I was 15.
Okay.
So I was involved in tuning. I worked for a company while I was at school, just helping out. And we were reverse engineering ECUs back in the day when you had removable EPROMs and things like that. So we were tuning very early performance cars, brands that aren't in the US particularly, but I mean like Ford Cosworth, for example. I guess you'd have heard of that. So
I was going to say, any cool projects that you remember that you might have done, been a part of?
Yeah, so we did some mechanical engineering work as well. So we had a mechanical department, and we did modifications to turbochargers and superchargers, those sorts of things. So working with the hardware side of it, the mechanical side of it, and then being able to match that with the electronic side, so mapping. We did. The guy that I worked for was quite interesting. He didn't do anything the easy way, so we designed and developed our own rolling road that we used and wrote software for that, designed the hardware for that, built it, installed it. So yeah, it's gone from that through to the diagnostic side of things. So
interesting indeed. Could you share a brief history of ETI and its mission in today's industry?
Okay, well, ETI was founded back in 1947, and that was to bring structure and consistency back to the automotive service equipment sector at a time when the industry was fragmenting after the war. So fast forward to today, and the mission is still fundamentally the same, but obviously complexity has exploded. Vehicles are software defined now, highly networked and increasingly security controlled. So ETI's role now is to act as a neutral body that brings the OEMs and the tool manufacturers and equipment suppliers as well all together to solve those common problems. So that includes the standards, testing, access to data, cybersecurity, and then increasingly traceability and compliance. So it's about enabling safe, accurate, and legitimate repair in a world where access is no longer straightforward.
Right. So you listed quite a list of opportunities for organizations like ETI can be served for either aftermarket and OEMs. So what will be the most independent standards organizations like ETI specialized in? What will be the most important part of these organizations?
Well, there's no single stakeholder that can solve all of those problems on their own. So OEMs quite rightly focus on the vehicle integrity and the safety, and tool manufacturers focus on the innovation and the speed, and then workshops focus on efficiency and profitability.
Right.
An independent organisation like ETI provides a neutral ground where all those interests can meet as one side, without one side dominating, if you like.
I see. Okay.
So
like a balance of the powers, like not something might not go higher than the other one.
yeah. I mean, it is important that we approach all of the topics, with the same goal, and that comes from the OEMs, obviously from the workshops as well, and the tool and equipment manufacturers and the information providers that are filling that space in between those two. So neutrality is critical in that. It allows the standards, the testing methods, and the frameworks to be trusted across the industry, rather than being seen as commercially driven. So without that kind of independence, you either get fragmentation or closed ecosystems that creates a real challenge for technicians, vehicle owners, and businesses developing compliant tools and equipment.
So many companies that have joined ETI, or many other companies that are looking forward to join ETI, what will be the main that they will gain, the most importance that they will gain by joining ETI?
Okay, so the biggest value that I see, and like I say, having been a member as well,
Yes.
the biggest value is the influence and visibility, but not from a political standpoint. So members gain an early insight into where regulations are going, OEM requirements, technical expectations, where those things are heading. And they have an opportunity to help structure and shape those discussions rather than react to them at a later date. There's also real value in access. So ETI brings together OEMs, tool and equipment manufacturers, and service providers in this neutral environment, which creates opportunities for collaboration. And that simply doesn't happen elsewhere.
I see.
So practically, reduce risk, better alignment, and fewer surprises when your product hits the market.
Okay. So getting into the industry a little bit more in depth, what will be a major trend that you personally are seeing in diagnostic and testing equipment today?
Major trends, I think obviously the whole battery thing, so EVs, people trying to work out how to structure their businesses around that. Training, because things have moved on. People are realising now that they do need to brush up on the new technologies to be able to continue to support what's happening. And I think specialism as well. I mean, we've been talking about that today earlier, and specialising, I think, is one of those things that is starting to become more and more of an obvious path for people that want to be able to support all makes and models in a particular area.
Right. So we've been actually quite a few years into the electric vehicle world and electric vehicle batteries. So there's a need now into servicing and specializing and training the technicians with all the safety procedures they need to follow up. So you would see an increase of demand into servicing the battery packs and actually having the requirement and training the staff, right?
Yeah.
So looking forward into the future, where would you say that you see the diagnostic world and diagnostic tools and equipment into the next 5 years or even 10 years?
Like I say, I think it's going to be more specialised, and there's going to be more collaboration. So generalist tools won't disappear,
Okay.
but the depth required for ADAS, electrification, emissions, software-driven systems that we are seeing a little bit, but we'll see more of. That I think that means that specialisation is going to be inevitable, and at the same time, closer alignment with OEM processes will be essential to remain viable. So I also think that we'll see a stronger integration between tools, training, certification and compliance, and they'll increasingly be part of a single ecosystem rather than an individual product.
Would you think, or would you say they would have a huge shift into the more electrical world, or they're just going to go hand in hand with the 12-volt batteries and EV batteries? Would you think that people will eventually start consuming and using a lot more electric vehicles, so we'll see the battery and diagnostic tools will also shift as well?
Yeah, it's a difficult one to answer that, I think, because it depends on geographically, countries. It depends on regions within countries and towns and cities within countries. Right. So, I mean,
infrastructure.
Yeah. So, in terms of my perspective from where I am in the UK, if you live in a city, it becomes very difficult to be able to park a vehicle in somewhere that makes it accessible for charging. So there's going to have to be a solution to that, and that might be not owning a vehicle. Maybe there'll be more shared vehicles, more autonomy in cities, to allow an infrastructure that provides for an electric vehicle within that sort of ecosystem. And then the people that live in the outskirts maybe do own their own EV because maybe they've got more space, so they can put it on their own property to charge it.
Yeah, as I was going to actually add, let's just stay on England. Let's say, how hard is it to just have a charger station at home, and then you'll be fine. We'll just driving the range of the battery pack, and you're just recharging at home. But as you said, maybe in the situations where the cities are obviously more crowded and you don't have as much space as to have a charger station at home. But in suburbs, there might be a situation that it's easier.
Yeah, I mean, there are obviously easier situations for people to deal with it. And it, not everybody's lifestyles are the same.
Of course.
So supermarkets have got charging stations, but then a lot of people now get home delivery.
Yeah, that is true.
So you're always trying to move things around to fit that particular requirement. I mean, some of the councils, some of the localised government, if you like, they're doing a lot of work to try and make it easier for people to install charging points at the side of the pavement, for example. And that's creating innovation and new designs for safe ways to connect a charger at the side of the road outside your property if you don't have a drive, for example. There's been lots of issues with people with cables and various different ideas around that. But I think ICE will still play a part in some instances until we've got the ranges that you need in certain instances. I mean, I own a diesel, and I can fill up and I can do 600 miles on a tank of fuel, and I don't.
So the range is important, because if you're using or you're driving for a long range, obviously you prefer diesel instead of electric vehicle, because you might need to stop very soon to recharge, and then obviously the charging time might be a lot longer than just refueling with diesel. Yeah.
And I've seen in Europe, and it's become an issue that you would think people would have thought about, that they obviously haven't done, which is, if you're towing something and then you go into a services at the side of the motorway, the freeway, to charge up. Well, those places aren't structured to have a long vehicle. I mean, real estate is an issue, and you're trying to implement a new way of living in a footprint that already existed. So, there's things that they've got to think about around that.
True. Interesting. Okay. Well, what again remaining in the present, the future? What would you say is something, some sort of technology that excites you the most, and you are looking forward to expanding?
There isn't a one single
In particular, okay.
technology necessarily. I think that what I'm interested in is the whole ecosystem. So, like I said, the security, how that gets implemented, and how people can access that during their day easily. Mm-hmm. Cloud services, again, geographically, not everybody's got access to the internet. I know it sounds like a silly thing to say, but
it's still true even in 2026.
We've all got phones, and okay, you might get enough of a signal to make a phone call, but then reliable data connectivity. Mm-hmm. So the advent of other options like Starlink and what have you, are making those things less of an issue. It's all of that. So it's the hardware thing, it's the way it's implemented, and then combining those technologies with the proper standards, the validation, the cooperation in the industry, and how we can put all of that together. And that's where I think the opportunity is, and that's what excites me, is the opportunity of amalgamating all of these technologies together.
So would you say you're also excited to look for what the EV world has coming in the future, and how the ecosystem is going to adjust with demand? How's the future going to be?
Yeah, it's really interesting.
I know that
it's interesting to see to see how people are going to come up with these ideas. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's and going around and meeting members is really interesting, and obviously going to the events and talking to all of the different people that have got their own ideas, their own issues in the industry.
Especially when it's like from the United States and coming from different countries in Europe, because you see all these different ideas.
It's hugely diverse. Yep. Yeah, and just never mind the geography and the way that people live in different countries is different, but the way that the OEMs work in those territories as well is different, and it's trying to navigate all of that and trying to explain the best way that we possibly can how what the OEMs can actually gain by the aftermarket producing good tools with the right information and training the people to use them in the right way. I think that there is a great opportunity to work together.
Right. Well, as the last questions to close this up, for anybody who is interested into what ETI does and to follow up closely on all of their events, members, or even who is looking forward to become a member, where can they find you on social media, on the website, or some sort of place that they can find more information about you guys?
Okay, so we've got a website which is etools.org. And on the website, we have the history, we have the people that are involved, we list events. Mm-hmm. So we've got 2 events coming up that are listed on there. We've got one in the US, which is coming up in April, and one in the UK, which is coming up in June. So you can go on there and find out more about that. We also list our members on the website and what regions they're in. So whether they're in the US, in terms of membership, this is. So whether they're a US member, an EU member, right, or they're a member in both territories. That's really useful for members to find out about other members, and also for end users to find out about companies that are producing tools and equipment. So anybody that's maybe listening to one of your podcasts that's a technician, they can go on and find out about other companies that are, providing service information or tools and equipment.
Also, I know that you guys also have your own podcast they're currently doing. Where could anybody who wants to listen to the podcast regarding the automotive topics that you guys are discussing?
Yeah, so with the podcasts, we're doing a Meet the Member podcast. So we're going around talking to members, finding out about what they do, how they do it, and what they see, as future trends, etc. And we've currently listed those on our YouTube channel and also Spotify. So that's where you can listen to the podcast currently. We will post it on our website as a link to the YouTube as well. But yeah, that's the best place to go is the eTools website. Then we've got LinkedIn. So if you go onto LinkedIn, you can see the posts that we've got, which are every week we will put something on about what we've been doing, what we're going to do. So we reach out to people and say, look, we're going to be at this event. Contact us to come and talk more about what we do. If you aren't a member, if you are a member, then we're always encouraging our members to come to us and say, look, this we could do with talking about this, or can you give us a hand with that? So we're really keen to get as much member interaction as we possibly can. So,
well, thank you for being our guest today. Thank you very much, and thank you as well for everybody who's been watching.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.